The results are in, and I think I'm an introvert. So I was having a debate slash existential crisis last week as to whether I was an introvert or an extrovert. And then you all told me I'm an introvert. So thank you. There were some nice responses. Actually, I'll take a look at them. I usually go to the messages towards the end of the show, but it seems like episode. Don't like that I said show. But it seems like we're going in early. Let's have a look. Just so we can... 2 hours ago. Fiona. Okay, I'm going to read the whole message because this is something I was asking last week. Hello, I was indeed in Perth with the Coke lady. Now, this was last week's episode. I was talking about a lady who came to the show in Perth who climbed up on stage. The Coke in question, although it does sound like from that anecdote that it was drugs, it was just the drink. Do I sound out of breath? I feel out of breath. Can I just take a breath? I think I was rushing a bit. I'm back. Am I? Not yet. It'll come. Introvert, extrovert. Okay, this is a bigger compliment than I was expecting. Can you be a charismatic introvert? I feel like that is what you are. I'll take that. But you can never say that about yourself. If somebody said, would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert? And you went, I think I would say I'm a charismatic introvert. I feel like that's what you are. Introverts just prefer intimate or own company. Yeah. Extroverts thrive as the life of the party. Charismatic people draw people to them. God, this is lovely. I think you are 100% introvert who is charismatic. Also, just at the end, it's so funny because the message is very nice, very flattering. Then the last thing you write is just get some rest, thumbs up. You sort of, you went from really lovely compliments to sort of quite parent energy there, with the get some rest sounding like my mum and the thumbs up emoji being my dad. Someone's listening to these out of order as you catch up. Oh, okay. Be interesting to see how the levels go. Not only of my own energy, but quality. Oh, someone's been here. I'm definitely an extroverted introvert. Can be extrovert if I need to be, but it wipes me out. Yeah, that's so good, Bryony. That's exactly what happens to me. I can do it, and I like doing it, but God, I'm shattered at the end. I had it actually this week. I went to Lucy Foley's book launch. I've got the book here. I should hold it up to the camera in case you're watching this. So this isn't the copy that will come out. This is the early copy because the book's not out till September. So here we go. This is it here, and I'll read it to you as well. Agatha Christie, Miss Marple, the trailblazing detective, the modern mystery, the pioneer of the modern mystery, Lucy Foley. So they're working together, basically. It's a Lucy Foley book. And if you've read Lucy Foley's stuff, it's like always from different people's perspective throughout the book. And it's like that, crossed with an Agatha Christie Miss Marple. Gosh, so actually, I went to the book launch, which was smaller than I thought. There was only about 20 of us there having lunch at Claridge's. I mean, it was lovely. I felt very out of place, but hard to know what to wear to something like that. Really tough because I ended up wearing jeans because I just didn't feel like I had the right trousers. I've since bought 4 pairs of trousers in case I ever get invited to something like that again. I've now got a pair of smart blue trousers, but you can wear them like with a t-shirt, that type of look, like tucked in, that look. Got them in navy blue and them in like a grey. Then I got a navy blue pair of chinos and a classic chino coloured chinos. just because I panicked and I thought I can't wear jeans to things like this all the time. Although someone else there was definitely scruffier than I was, but I won't say his name. But everyone else looked lovely, and the food was unreal. They actually asked before you went what your dietary requirements, and I just said vegetarian. I didn't want to say vegetarian and gluten-free because I was worried that Lucy would start to think, oh my God, oh, I invited this guy. He's now so fussy. But she wouldn't, obviously. But you start to feel a bit like, oh, thanks for inviting me. Also, I can't eat that, don't want that. But we'd never met. We'd been online friends for almost 2 years. It'd be 2 years as of the 29th of March. What happened was I did a reel, but it was before then. And it was about going to bed. And I had a load of books next to the bed. And one of them was Lucy's. I think it was The Hunting Party. I think. And, or maybe The Paris Apartment. It doesn't matter. It was one of hers. Maybe both. Anyway, she spotted it and she commented underneath. And then I was like, oh, wow, I loved you. So, you know, in a that way. I'm a fan of yours. And then we followed each other. Messaged for years. And then invited me to the book launch. Why was I saying that? Extrovert. So I was there for 3 hours. And what was nice was we all sat around this table. I will say this, prime location. I was opposite Lucy. So we had a great chat about ghosts. And then people would move around. So I think I was the only person that did. Maybe I should have been moving. What happened was, people would get up and move seats, so they were sat around by different people. But I've just realised, I think I was the only person that didn't do that. I just stayed in my seat. I mean, I was happy there. And, nice people came around. There were people who worked in publishing, PR. There was one lady who owns a film production company. I don't know if I can say who it's with, but it's a cool person. But I don't know if I never know with this industry. There's a lot of secrets. It's like I guess maybe with other jobs they're just like, oh, keep this one to ourselves until it's announced or whatever. Would that happen if you're like in marketing? I don't know. I guess so. But there's a lot that's like people use the words. Well, it's one word, but they use it twice. Hush hush. They always say that. It's a bit hush hush at the moment. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk about it on my podcast. Is that right? Someone else has gone 60% introvert, 40% extrovert, 100% hilarious. Nice. This is just like I'm reading out compliments. I will say I don't read the comments until I'm reading them in this moment. So hopefully it will balance out and I'll get one that really lays into me soon. There we go. The next one's just complaining that Richard Parker wasn't on the last one. Missed your sidekick in the last one, but still loved it. I mean, that's not really a dig, is it? I'd still take it, and it still ended up being very nice. Re your accent. I wanted to comment on one of your early episodes that your Keir Starmer impression sounded a lot like one of my favourites, Josh Widdicombe. I wonder if you might do an impression of him. So I can only say one thing as Keir Starmer, which is the Metropolitan Police. And then I guess Josh is a bit like that. That actually went back to a bit Alan Partridge, Steve Coogan, which was another identity crisis I had last week. So if you're an international listener or viewer, Keir Starmer is our Prime Minister, but you might not know that. Although this week, because he's fallen out with Trump, maybe he's coming to your news. But what I found when I was travelling around is people don't know who he is. Not that I talk about him on stage. I don't talk about politics on stage, but or off stage, really. But really, no. Anyway, I listen to the podcasts so I know what's going on, but all my opinions would just be what I've heard, and it's just sort of me saying that because like Emily Maitlis said it. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, I found that not a lot of people know who Keir Starmer is, because the name is quite an odd thing to get your head around anyway, I think. Because if you say it quickly, as we've become used to, you just go Keir Starmer, and you sort of go, when did the first name end and the last name start, or was that just one? Keir Starmer. But it's Keir Starmer. I mean, it's a cool name. But he just says, the Metropolitan Police. And then Josh is more, I mean, who calls the Metropolitan Police? There you go. So that's for you. Let's not do. I'll do some more messages later, but I feel like I'm reading out too many there. Going back to me buying those trousers this week when I had a panic. I actually wore the blue pair out the other day to Camden, because what happened was the sun came out the next day. When is it? 2 days late? When was it? How quickly did they come? What happened there then? Must have just been next day delivery. I'm confused. Oh, maybe it was the night before I realised I could only wear jeans, and I thought, I need something else. That was it. So I ordered something, thinking maybe if this comes on the Wednesday morning, day of the book launch, I can wear these instead of my jeans. But they didn't come until later. So when I got back, I had 4 pairs of trousers waiting for me that I could wear next time I go to a book launch or something similar. Anyway, the next day it was so nice and warm that I actually wore the trousers out with these, and I felt very what's the word? Perfect, I guess. But like temperature wise is what I mean. So they were great for that. So yeah, I've done well there. What I did actually look at doing is buying the blue trousers again, so that while one pair is in the wash, I'll still have another pair, because I do panic stuff like that. I've got an abundance mindset until it comes to clothes, in which case I really feel like I just always need them there in case, I don't know what happens. But I counted the other day about how many t-shirts I own. I had some spare time. Have a think now. How many t-shirts do you think I own? Just you've got a number there, and then I'm gonna find it in my notes. I actually broke them all down as well into how many I've got. Have a think now. How many you think I've got, and I'm gonna do the maths, because I broke them down into whites, black, and just mixed colours. So, how many t-shirts does Jake own? I think you got a number there? 77. So, white t-shirts, this is including 9 that haven't come out of their pack yet that are still under the bed, and 2 that are in boxes at the bottom of my wardrobe, because they were, when I panicked that the brand I like stopped making them, they did have these other ones you could buy in boxes, so I just bought them, and they're still in a box in bubble wrap, which feels excessive. But anyway, 36 white, 14 black, miscellaneous 27. And they're just there, so I've always got some. So if at any moment, and in my defense, I'm going to have a sip of my drink actually, because this is 13 minutes in and I haven't yet. Really good temperature actually. That's really good. Yeah. What tea do you drink? This is Yorkshire. I used to be I was Mr. PG Tips. My friend Ivo is actually now the voice of the monkey in the advert, and we spoke, and he said he was actually going to reach out to apologise for getting the job. He didn't realise that I hadn't even been put up for it. He assumed we'd both gone for it and he'd got it, but no, I didn't even get the chance. But no, they went with Ivo. Well, they went with Ivo. Didn't have a choice. I didn't go for it, but that's fine. I'm fine about it. It would be cool. Be the voice of the monkey. PG Tips. I wouldn't have gone over to the other ones, and that's not why. It wasn't that I didn't do that advert that I jumped ship, but I went up to Yorkshire and I stayed in a helicopter. There was a helicopter that you can sleep in, and some people have asked me this, which I think is insane. So just to clear it up, no, the helicopter's not in the sky, and no, it's not on. More than one person said that to me when I said I slept in a helicopter. They're like, oh, what is it, like hovering? So many reasons why. That would probably cost about £70,000 a night, and which I don't think is an exaggeration. Let's Google. Say you sleep up there for 8 hours. How much would it be? How much would a helicopter cost for an 8-hour flight? That's what it would need to be. How much, and this is fine to Google because there's no way of knowing this, would an 8-hour helicopter ride take? I don't think you can call it a ride, is it? That is a journey. That's an 8-hour helicopter ride typically costs, it's not that much. Well, it's a lot, but between $4,800 and $28,000 plus. I don't think that's right. I mean, actually, do you know why I think that's not right? I've looked at the source, which is this stupid thing now when you Google that they give you AI. That answer's come from TikTok. No. So, typical helicopter rental prices in the UK, lighthouse helicopters, 2 to 4 seats, from 700 to 1,000 per hour. Oh, okay, so 8,000. I mean, I'm not going to do it. Obviously, I mean, there's many reasons you couldn't. You couldn't sleep with that noise. £600 an hour. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but it's not crazy, is it? I always thought, well, I mean, my guess was 70,000. Anyway, a helicopter, you've also got to think of one that's big enough to have a bed in it. But no, it's just a grounded one. It was one that went to the Falklands, though. But I as I said that, I do realise, and I did remember that I've got listeners of mine in Argentina, so I don't really understand what happened there, but I don't think they're particularly like that. How did I get onto that? Oh yes, sorry. So, tea. So I went from PG tips. I went from PG tips to Yorkshire tea. And to justify that decision, I had to tell you about the time I slept in a helicopter. To be clear, the helicopter was in Yorkshire, and so that's where you go to stay in it. And then when I was there, had Yorkshire tea and found out I preferred it from a small little village cafe thing, classic Yorkshire village. Went in there, had a lovely tea, and then went to Yorkshire. And then there's Yorkshire Gold as well. But obviously, I'll never do the voiceover for Yorkshire because it would be mad to use someone from London. Richard Parker's back. Hello. Oh, you okay? You might have to appear on camera because we do get complaints if you don't. So can I just grab you for a second? There we go. That's it. Perfect. And we've got the image for the podcast now. I'll say hello. You can say hello. Camera shy. There we go. He's been ill. He's been a bit ill this week. He was sick. Although yesterday he was sick. And then, well, not only he was sick 2 minutes before I was about to, I had a work call. He was sick. So I was late for that. But what happened was he was sick in the kitchen on the floor. And then he went scurrying under the table to hide, like, oh no, what's happened? And I'm embarrassed or I don't feel well. And then, I'd say 20 seconds later, probably less than that, a squirrel came running through the garden and he just went out chasing it. So I remember when I was younger and I was at school and I had a stomachache. I promise you, I had a stomachache. I was in trying to picture the classroom. Was that was year 2? Yeah, I was in year 2 at school and I had a stomachache and we had like a dance class thing. And I think everyone was like line dancing, but I couldn't. I had this awful stomachache. And I remember someone at school, everyone's jumpers were like sweater. They were more like the one I've got on. They were like more like sporty ones. Like that was the redness. And then there was one guy called Michael, and his was knitted. And the idea of it sort of made me feel a bit ill. And I remember I'd had a stomachache, and he was there with that jumper. It was just making me feel ill. Anyway, couldn't do the dance class, so I'd sat while everyone did it, holding my stomach, just felt really ill. And then we went back up to class, and one of my friends had been doing a funny dance during the class, so I tried to do an impression of it. And it was a bit I'd say it wasn't too far off what became flossing. Anyway, while we were having that chat, the reason we were all talking amongst ourselves back at class was Miss Booth had gone downstairs to get my mum. My mum worked at reception because she got a job at the school when I started there. I think she was worried that I was going to be bullied, so she got a job there. And Miss Booth went to get my mum to obviously tell her I wasn't very well. And then they came back into the class the second I was doing the dance that Gary Gulliford had been doing. And they were they thought I was faking it. And I was like, no, I'm ill. That was just one bit of energy that, when I'm ill, I don't know, you get these little bursts of energy and then you sort of want to try and act normal. And you're at school as well. You don't want everyone going, oh, look at Jake, he's ill. So I tried to do one, and that was the one moment I've never forgot that. I think year 2, what would I have been? 7? Yeah. How did I get to that? Oh yeah, Richard Parker was ill, and then I thought, is he faking it? But I let him off because I remembered what happened to me in Miss Booth's class. So Yorkshire tea. I'm gonna have another sip. Last one I had was 7 minutes ago. Still good. I can't believe that, actually. A tea does last longer than you think. Maybe it's the mugs. So I went to Yorkshire and then sort of gone between the two, Yorkshire, PG Tips, Yorkshire Gold. And I think I need to do a proper taste test. Maybe I'll do that on the podcast one day. Maybe I'll decide the tea I'm going to stick with as a little podcast experiment. That'll be a great YouTube clip. I say great. It'll be a YouTube clip. You okay, mister? You sort of want my attention a lot. Are you hungry? What's happened is when he's ill, he gets wet food because it's supposed to make him better. Well, what happens is he loves it. So he's he gives you a lot of attention after that because he thinks it means he can get that again. And I don't know, I was thinking that earlier, if he loves it so much, maybe he should have wet food rather than dry kibble. If I can get one that's as good for him as the dry food, because it just makes him happier. You okay? Shall I give you a little bit of food? I'm going to give him a bit of food, but I'm going to give him dry food for now because, yeah, it's just easier. But yeah, so he has this dry kibble and then this wet food. He goes crazy for it, but he doesn't eat it all. That's the thing. He only does it while it's wet, and he sort of eats the wet food, then leaves a lot of dry chunks around. But it doesn't smell, to be fair. Right, hold on a second. No, what's up against that? He almost knocked the camera over again. I caught it, I was prepared. Right, here we go, let's give you this food. So he's got this tower, so I'll drop it into this tower. That good? Right. Oh, I went to the Brits. So last time we spoke, I had been about to go there, talking about my outfit. So hopefully you saw that on Instagram. I posted that I was at the Brits, and then actually went out for dinner last night with my friends, and they didn't think it was. They were questioning whether it was real. So they saw the picture and they were like watching it. And they were like, "Is Jake there?" They weren't sure if it was a bit of a joke, but no, I was there. Oh, this has gone wonky on the camera. If you're watching that, how do I get that back? It's gone all wonky. But no, I was there. People got the outfit. Some people didn't, but luckily, so I have to sort this camera out a second. How am I going to do that and still talk? Luckily, even if people didn't understand what the outfit was, it didn't look mad, which is what I discovered. But when people did, it went down really well. That was nice. Red carpets are a strange experience because as I was on the red carpet, I could see the camera. I could see the screen. Why is that camera? Why is that not straight. It's just not straight, and it's really annoying me. Ah, there we go. Ah, hold on. So if you're watching this, it was just been a bit skewed, but I think I fixed it. I think it had been knocked over. So when you're on the red carpet, I could then see they had like a big crane camera that goes over the top. You know, like you'd see all the photos that everyone's taking, but you'd also see the big crane camera go down. And so actually, it makes it makes the red carpet seem bigger than it actually is. Because actually, when you walk along, there's only 3 beats. So this one, because it was MasterCard, they had MasterCard symbols on the floor, and you had to go and stand in the orange bit, and there were 3 of them. That's 3 beats to hit, and then you'd stop, and a different bunch of photographers would all just take your photo. So they have, I don't know how many are there, but they're the other side of a barrier, and they're just like, Jake, and then you just sort of look, and it's, and then you sort of try to look normal. But it's an odd experience. Yeah, it's maybe. Do you get used to it? I just think some people think it's like, oh, that's the glamorous thing to aim for. And I'm sure it'd be nice if you're going along and it's like a premiere of something that you're in, and you get to talk about it and see people, and that there's like fans of yours. Maybe that's different. But this one, I just was very overwhelmed. Then afterwards, actually, what was crazy was you went through the red carpet, and then these cars picked you up. You go outside, and there's a car waiting. What was the car? It was sponsored by whatever it was sponsored by. I don't remember. Audi, maybe? I don't know. But you got in one, and it drove about 200 to 300 meters. And then it was the bar that was there it took you to. Crazy. And there were just constant these cars taking people from the red carpet to this bar. Then you went in there, had drinks, and that was nice because you get to sit down a bit and get to sort of a reset after what was, a lot to deal with. So what happens is, because there was a few influencers around, these people, they know how it all works. So what they did was they go on Getty Images and they search their own name, and then the photographers have instantly uploaded the photos they've just taken, so then they could post it. So that's what they taught me to do. So this Getty Images thing, you go on there, you can save it for free, but I think officially, if you're going to use it without the watermark, you can pay for it. So I guess it's a good example. If there was ever like an event happening, you could just go on Getty Images and you could just see the images coming through live. I mean, that's not great. I've just gone on there. The first one is pictures of war happening at the moment. But I'll sort of focus on the Brits. But if I search now, actually, I could see how much my photos go for. So there's 4 of me on there. One of me giving a thumbs up, and then the other's doing the old heart, Bad Bunny heart. So this photo, if you wanted it in medium, £275. If you want that, don't do it obviously. But let's have a look now. That's what mine go for. 275 as a medium. Let's have a look at what Harry Styles would go for. Harry Styles Brits 2026. I'm sure they got some photos of him on the red carpet. Yep, here's one. Let's see what his goes for. Same price. Fair. That's nice. Same price. Yeah. Huh. I thought it'd be like scattered, and I thought I was going to be insulted, but no. Yeah, seems about right. So actually, you can look on his, if you want to do this, go to gettyimages.co.uk, search the Brit Awards 2026. You can see a bit of him walking up the red carpet, which is like, there's also a pre-bit where you go up a ramp and there's just people sort of screaming at you as you walk through. It's odd. Anyway, the Brits was great. I thought it was so well done. The food was cool. So the Vimto cheesecake, and what else did I have? celeriac, and I don't know other things. But by that point, the drinks were just flowing. So I think it was food really does take a sort of a what's the word? A back seat. And it was just there to sort of keep you going. At one point, I actually got really tired. Just before the show started, I could have had a nap. But yeah, it was really, really cool. The atmosphere was amazing. And then the only disappointment for me was that the K-pop demon hunters weren't actually there. So, because the arena's so big, sometimes stuff will happen and you have to look around to see which stage are they on now, what's going on, where is this really happening. Like at some point, the host, Jack Whitehall, he's like talking to people in the crowd, but you can't see. You're like looking around going, actually, where is that? I'm trying to like find your bearings. So when the K-pop demon hunters started, everyone's looking around. And then we realise they're not there. And everybody thought they were outside. But I don't think they were outside. I think it was a pre-recorded. They couldn't get them to the Brits. This is what I think happened. So they got them over there when they were here, and they just filmed a quick thing of them doing a concert outside and played that in. Now, the whole PR move around it is the real reason why the K-pop demon hunters weren't inside is children couldn't come in, so they performed outside so children could see it. I think that's a bit of a spin. I just think they weren't there. They'd filmed it earlier in the week or something. But I didn't know the song. And then I was out for dinner last night, and it turns out everyone's seen this. 4 of us having dinner. None of us have children. One of them is pregnant, but I don't think. Actually, had Joe watched it? Maybe Joe. Oh no, maybe they both had. Yeah, she had watched it. Yeah. So anyway, they all watched it. No children, and they thought it was mad that I hadn't. I don't know when that even happened, but maybe I should. But yeah, I didn't even recognise the song, and I thought I would, but they played one of the songs in, and no, didn't mean anything to me. But all the parents were absolutely loving it. Really going for it. So yeah, it's a weird cultural thing that's just passed me by. Yeah, just missed that one. One thing that didn't pass me by. Have you seen the Jim Carrey video? Him on the it's not a red carpet so much. I think it's him leaving an award ceremony. He's been given an award. I think it's in France. And then he's outside, and it's sort of not his face or his voice, yet somehow it's him. Then people are saying it's not him. But he doesn't seem like the sort of person who would have work done. He seems the sort of person that would be against that. But he was there sort of talking very softly, and the voice is not his, and the face sort of is but isn't. It's sort of like what you'd imagine Jim Carrey would look like if he had like an allergic reaction to like a bee sting. I think I found out this week that I'm allergic to pesto. So one meal I always like to have when I get home, when I've been away, is pesto pasta. And I love that, and I have it with corn chicken nuggets. Anyway, I've also found that when I get back, if I've been away, my face, a few days later, feel very sort of puffy and swollen and a little bit like Jim Carrey's. And I think it might be pesto. So I'm going to have to stop having it. And it was the day after, it really felt it, puffy and a bit funny. Oh, someone at the door. Might be a delivery. 1 second. I'll pause it for a moment. So that was confusing. What happened was they buzzed the door, and I'm on the ground floor. So when I open, because it's a like I guess apartment building, but I don't feel comfortable saying apartment, but it's not like flats either, so it doesn't really work. But anyway, I had opened my door, but I'd also pressed the button so they can open the main door. And usually if they push that main door, they can then see me at the end of the hallway. It's only short, but anyway, I was saying hello, and he was responding to me like I was on the intercom, not realising I was actually just there. Anyway, it was a man and his wife and a toddler, and they were inviting me to the memorial of Jesus' death. So what happened was he said, well, he didn't show me this at first. He just said, we're inviting you to this. He said 20 million people attended last year. I was like, where was that? I think they mean all over the world. I don't think that there were 20 million people at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, 121 Heath Road. But maybe. But I don't think he meant. I think it's all over. So you were invited to the memorial of Jesus' death, Thursday, April the 2nd. Special Bible talk. Who will restore the earth? Learn about the wonderful future in store for the earth and for mankind. And that's at 10. Oh, that's at 10 a.m. on the 28th of March. Then on the 2nd of April at 9 p.m. That must be around the time he was out having dinner then. That would have been when the Last Supper was, because the next day is Good Friday. Commemorate the death of Jesus just as he commanded. So they're just going around inviting people to that for the day. They were very nice. He'd put on a suit to do it. Very smart. What's annoying when something like that happens is it's very hard to explain to them, I can't really stop and chat, I'm doing a podcast. I love, maybe that's a good way to get new listeners. Hadworth Mondays, I'll give you a shout out. So yeah, I guess that's a nice sort of nice, like what's the word? Not quite wholesome, spiritual, like cleansing thing for them to do on the weekend, I guess. Some people will just be at home watching TV. I would have, in fact, because my living room's at the front, if I had just been sat watching TV and then they would come, they might have seen the TV on, then I would have felt really like guilty about sort of me just having a really like lazy day while they're out sort of like spreading love and stuff. But yeah, that was nice. And they had the toddler handling it out. But maybe that's more, yeah. I assume they were a family. But doing that together, mind you, they only gave me an invite, but there's 4 people above me. Anyway, cool. I did a video about that. I hope they didn't see it. Although it's not offensive to religion. It's about what would happen in modern times if Jesus had died now. And there was one person, when I posted about it, one boxer said you shouldn't joke about religion. And I responded and said, it's not a joke about religion, it's a joke about social media. But I'm not going to argue with a boxer. But there was actually, I don't know the difference between vicars and priests, but there were some of them in the comments saying they were going to actually play it at the sermon. They thought it was great. So maybe they would have loved it. Maybe I'll do a live version of it for them. Yeah. So that's weird. The invite actually is for the Thursday, 2nd of April. But then when you open it, there's actually something else, an earlier one. Well, it's 28th. Should have asked if there was a red carpet on the way in. I only do events with red carpets now. But there we go. Don't know what I was talking about before then, so I'm sorry if there was something I've not wrapped up there. Let's talk about the journey home from the Brits. So, this seemed to be planned engineering works that meant in the morning I hadn't really looked at what train I was going to get. I just thought, I'll just see what happens. Woke up in the morning, checked the train times, and this is from Manchester Piccadilly down to London. There were no trains going from Manchester until 12:30. Everything was a replacement bus to Stockport, and then get the train from there. So I thought, uh-oh. And it actually said on the app, there will be a rush of people coming home from the Brits and Man United playing at home. So prepare for the trains to be busy. So if that was planned, that is crazy. You've got the Brits, you know you've got that. You know Manchester United are playing at home. That comes out in like June. Anyway, I thought, okay, I'm just going to have to get up and go and just try and figure this out. So I got up, showered, changed, out. And then I thought, should I just get an Uber to Stockport? Does that make sense? And I looked and I could do it. And I thought, I don't know if this is smart or what's going to happen. So I thought, no, if there's a bus going there, get on the bus. I guess that just takes you there and that's the system. So I got there and this girl came up to me and she said, is this the bus for Stockport? I said, yeah, that I think that's what's happening here, yeah. So she joined me in the queue. And then the bus that we were queuing for got full up, so it left. Then another one came, but just as it approached us, it sort of just stopped and went to the other side of the road. And so I think it was because there wasn't enough people now waiting that they realised it would have been a waste of a trip. So then she said, shall we get an Uber to Stockport? If I get us an Uber, we can just go there and we get on the train. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was thinking of doing that, but I wasn't sure if that was smart. Now you've said it, I believe it was smart. So let's do it. So we booked an Uber. So now me and her name was, and still is Katie, got an Uber to Stockport, and we thought, this is it. We've hacked the system. Got to the platform, and it was so busy. Platform 1, it was like 5 or 6 people deep all along it. But then it said, platform change. The train will now go from platform 2. Because we were at the back, we turned, walked across, and now we're right at the front. We went to a bit where Mind the Gap was written on the floor, which we assumed meant the door's going to go there. So I think said to her already 4 or 5 times in the short time we'd been speaking that I hadn't had a tea yet, and I like tea. So then, as we were waiting, she said, well, there is a Starbucks there. You could go and get it. And I said, do you want anything? So she said, I'll have a flat white. So I ran down there, ordered there was a bit of a queue, but then I ordered a tea, flat white. I got us, they had these like gluten-free flapjack things. I didn't know if she was gluten-free, but I tried to be. So then I got 2 of those and some packet of like cheese crisp things, but not crisp. They're like chunks of like, it's not crisps. It's like a cheesy. Anyway, I just thought I haven't eaten and I can't just eat in front of myself. I got us both some. Then the train pulled in and I thought, oh, that's nice. Cool. And then I thought, oh no, she's got her suitcase, my suitcase, and my bag of gifts from the Brits I suddenly realised she's having to deal with that on her own. And then I thought, what if the train just leaves? I've got no way of contacting this girl. She's got everything, and I've just left her with it. So her flat white just wasn't coming. So in the end, I grabbed my tea. I say grab, I didn't care for his cup of hot water and then boiling it. And then I ran down to her and I was like, so she managed to get us both a seat. She'd put my suitcase up on the rack and my gift bag and her own suitcase and got us 2 seats. And I was like, I am so sorry. And she was like, oh, it's fine. I was like, I'm so sorry. And then I rushed back, suddenly realising not only do you have the bags, but I don't know if the train's suddenly going to go and you've just got my stuff and you wouldn't have a clue what to do. So then I said, well, I've ordered your flat white. I could just go back and get it now. It'll be sat there waiting. So I jumped off the train and went down the platform and there was a lady there in the uniform. And I said, when does this train leave? And she went, in about 5 seconds. So I had to turn and jump back on the train. I was like, I'm so sorry, that's not going to work. Then we got to Crewe, so not that far. I was guiltily enjoying my tea. Then the train stopped at Crewe and it just stopped. And then they kept trying to tell us on the intercom what was happening, but the intercom wasn't working. Then suddenly a man came through our carriage and he was saying, is there a doctor on board? Is anybody here a doctor? Uh-oh. I've never seen that happen in real life. I don't think there was any doctors on board in that whole thing. I guess the problem is it's people who work in the industry and sort of entertainment industry going back from the Brits. We're the least equipped. So, in fact, Katie, my friend that I'd made, she is a set designer. So she'd been doing some of the set for the Brits. So neither of us could help. And then we were there, and they came on again. And at this point, I mean, I got off the train because I was like, I'm just going to stretch my legs and get some fresh air because we just sat here for no reason. We were there for an hour, and they had to wait for the paramedics to come. Paramedics finally came. Don't know what happened because this was at the front carriage and we were the third. They went on for a bit, came off, and then we just left. So I don't know what it was, but they were okay in the end. Obviously, luckily, they were having a worse time than we were. But that was my journey back. So that was eventful, but nice to meet Katie. She was nice, and in the end, I did walk down and I got her a coffee from just that sort of carriage, the shop bit in the carriage. I'm actually going back to Manchester tomorrow, so obviously this comes out on a Monday morning, and I am recording this. It's Saturday afternoon for me, so I'm actually sorry, the reason I just looked then is I actually made another friend at the book launch called Emily, and we were talking about how much we love the book Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which, if you're looking, is up there. If you've not read that book, it's amazing. Gabrielle Zevin. Anyway, they announced this week that is it Daisy May Cooper? She's in the film. But we'd been talking about it the day before, how much we love the book and what's it going to be like as a film and what are they going to do. And I said it should be a series because there's so much going on. And then, maybe it's Daisy Earl Jones. I think Daisy May Cooper's the one from this country, isn't it? Is it Daisy Earl Jones? It's funny to imagine Daisy May Cooper doing it. Yes. No, Daisy Edgar Jones. Blimey. Daisy Edgar Jones. I think she's the one that's going to be in it. Anyway, let me Google that. And tomorrow. I think one tomorrow should do. It'll get it if it's her. Yes, Daisy Edgar Jones starring in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's a great book. And then a film. So Emily, who's the girl I met at the book launch, I said it should be a series, and she said, so true, would be so much better as a series. Nice. Might reread it before this comes out. Yeah, me too, actually. Cool, that's cool. So, yeah, she was nice. That was when, at the book launch, when everyone was switching seats, she ended up next to me. And I again, as I say, I just didn't move the whole time. Maybe that's like the thing that happens, and I just didn't know. Anyway, so it's Saturday afternoon. Tonight I've got a gig near Oxford, so I'll go and do that tonight. And then tomorrow I'm getting the train up to Manchester because my friend, we've never actually met. So what happened was, last year, around the same time that stuff started to happen with me being offered a sitcom thing, I'm just saying thing to keep it vague. Again, it's all very hush-hush. She'd messaged me. She reached out and messaged me on Instagram and asked if I'd ever be up for making something. She's a director. She directs like she did when Frasier came back. She did a bit of that. She did Only Murders in the Building. She did The Summer I Turned Pretty. So she's also done a Netflix film actually. But anyway, she messaged and said, would I be up for coming up with something together? So I'll be honest. I googled her, checked it was real, and went on her IMDb, and then we've met up, and now we've actually pitched another sitcom, a separate one together, that seems to be stuff's happening there. So she's in Manchester. She's doing something with Warner Brothers, but she's off tomorrow. So I'm going to go up and we're going to have lunch and meet for the first time. But we've spoken every week for almost a year now. And then when she's on set, she was on set doing, again, I don't know what you can say and can't say, like, send me behind the scenes of like big studios and stuff. And she'll like get crew or people like in the show to be like, say hello to Jake. Like, these amazing behind the scenes videos. Such a cool person to know. So yeah, I'm going to go up and meet her. So back to Manchester. Hopefully my journey back's better. I'll tell you what I'm not doing, and that's getting that first class. Can't believe. Actually, somebody did comment. Going back to the messages. We'll finish up on the messages here. Let's go to Spotify comments. Somebody did have something to say about this. Comments. Here we go. I've listened to half the podcast so far in my car. 2 moments made me laugh out loud, more than usual. Firstly, the message about Alan Partridge. Your silence was hilarious. I don't remember what that bit was. Secondly, your train journey. I used to work for Mitsubishi. That's cool. What, like, were you in the car part? Was my dad had a Mitsubishi Shogun. So I was having a sip of water. And travel first class with the Japanese all the time. It was Virgin then. They were used to I'm going to give this word a go, Shinkansen, and Japanese punctuality and general high standards, which led to some interesting discussions. God blimey, yeah. If you're used to Japanese bullet train first class and then you end up with what I had the other day, can I have a tea, please? Yeah, go to Coach C. Right, just sort of paid for this ticket that I thought was like free tea at least, and I'm being told to go somewhere else. It was rubbish. Oh, we've got more introvert stuff here. I always think whether someone is described as introvert or extrovert is a perception based on how confident or loud someone appears, but I think there is a difference. I am default introvert, but I have built confidence over the years and worry less about how others see me. Yeah, I now really don't care how people see me. You strike me as a similar default introvert, but I think doing comedy and being on stage has built your confidence to be more extroverted. That's how I think you come across anyway. Awesome Brits outfit, by the way. Loved it. Thanks, Lisa. I actually think I was more extroverted at university, actually. And I think that's because I had nowhere to sort of put energy. But now that I do it on stage, it's actually made me more introverted because I'm like, oh, I can have attention on stage. I don't want it the other time. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I think genuinely it's just the other way with me. That I used to I guess maybe crave it. Probably was awful. I don't think I was that bad, but I would have been happily centre of attention then. And then as you get older, maybe you go, you know what, don't really like this so much. And also when you meet, actually, I remember meeting some super extroverts at university and going back in the old shell. You are, as far as I can tell, in ways similar to me, an introvert doing an extrovert job. Yeah, fair. 60% introvert and 40% extrovert, I guess. As far as I know, is defined on how you reload your batteries. If you do it being on your own, you are an introvert. And if you do it in groups of other people, you are an extrovert. I can't imagine having to be around people to get more energy. What can happen is, when I go away and I'm away with friends, then you do go, oh, wow, I've got so much energy actually to sort of constantly be on and talk to people. And these are people that I'm comfortable with. So I'm actually okay. But often just being in a big group will make me get really tired, like weddings all day. Oh, we got Chris, the Papers guy, is back. On the extrovert-introvert discussion, so if you've not listened before, Chris gets up at, I think, 3:30 in the morning to sort of deliver papers. He also does other stuff, but that's just how he starts his day. So I make sure the podcast goes out at 3 for him, and then I make sure the podcast is always at least 53 minutes for someone else who that's how long her commute is to work. So if there's anything you need, and you just get in touch, and I'll try and accommodate everybody here. We're doing okay for time now, though. Chris Papers guy on the extrovert-introvert discussion. I would say you're more on the introvert side, going off listening to the podcasts. I too am comfortable presenting to a room full of people, but put me in a small group of people I don't know all that well. I tend to shy away until I've worked out how I can be part of conversation. Chris, that's what's happened at the book launch. So I was having a lovely chat with Lucy. That was great. And then it was towards the end when I was sat next to Emily and there were two ladies opposite me and we found a connection. And then I was much more comfortable, and I was like making jokes, and yeah, it took some time. Then I was off. That was great, but I enjoyed the whole thing, by the way. But just trying to find that connection, that common ground. And I don't think anybody there was into American football or helicopters. I also thrive when talking on subjects I know. That's what I was just saying about American football and helicopters. I think a lot of it is working out what humour or thoughts I can share without offending people. Oh, blimey. What dark thoughts lie beneath the surface of the paper guy. Also, just to add, thanks for another great podcast. Oh, sorry, he's done 2 messages here. I didn't realise that was going to be such a compliment. Having you as my company for the first few hours of work, because I'm in and out of the car, is a lot of fun. Given the awful news headlines on the papers, that's a good point. You're seeing that news. You're the first one to see it. I'm delivering. Having your calm, light-hearted ramblings really helps lighten the mood while I'm on my own with next to nobody around, apart from the odd car and the local foxes, and cats occasionally looking confused at me as I post papers through doors is a pleasure. That's nice, Chris, but I quite like the idea of that, being up and about, and no one else is around. You just get to, the day's not started yet, and you're seeing the news that people are going to wake up to. But it's all still quiet. Do you know, I used to live somewhere called Thames Ditton, and when I'd get back from a gig about 3 o'clock in the morning, I used to go for a walk around the village because I couldn't sleep yet, and I thought it was if you've been sat in a car for hours, it was a nice thing to do. And I had this big black winter coat with a hood, and I'd go for a walk. Then there was a magazine that used to come out called About Thames Ditton, and there was a crime section in it. And then one bit was reporting on an odd hooded man walking around the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I realised it was me. And people had those sort of ring cameras, so I'd been captured as I was going around. But with the hood up, I must have looked like sort of like the BFG. Right, we're almost at an hour, so I'm going to wrap up here. Let me just have a quick look at YouTube. Because sometimes people do comment there. Your videos. Jake the Introvert. I've replied to a few on there, actually. This is nice. I had this one. I know I said about reading that praise is nice, but I really like isn't nice. But this one is nice, and I want to read it. This feels like discovering a new underrated niche podcast that I will probably binge watch / listen to before it goes mainstream. Got my ticket early. That's nice. Does that mean when it does go mainstream, you'll stop? But I don't think it's a problem you're going to have to deal with. 100% here, the Steve Coogan. I missed Richard Parker and made me wonder what your cat routine is when you're away from home. I've got a camera on the outside into the garden, and it is so nice to see him knocking about when I'm away. Now, I do love that. It actually makes it easier as well because I used to feel so bad if he was just waiting at the back door and I was the other end of the house and I didn't know he was coming in. I'm trying not to read all of these because there's quite a lot, and I'm worried I'm just reading compliments and I find it a bit gross. You're all so nice in the comments, but I'm going to reply just on the comments rather than on here because I think you should do this was one comment. I think you should do a show where you take a shower. Blimey, Karen. It's like OnlyFans, but you take a shower to use all the shower products. Don't show that part. Right, thank you. Then put on that Negroni oil product. Then do the show wearing a fluffy white hotel robe that starts off with a review of the products. Not in a sexy way, but in a silly way. You got this. P.S. Thank you for the honey and mixed nuts comment. That was in Starbucks last week when I was having the introvert extrovert discussion, and there was a lady in Starbucks, and I ordered a porridge, and then she said, would you like honey, jam, or mixed seeds? And I said, I'll have honey and the mixed seeds. So this sounds like a band. Nothing. Right. Thank you so much for listening. And also, we've had loads of new reviews come in. So, that's so nice. I had a look the other day and I realised loads have popped up. One girl got in touch to say there was an issue. The reason some people hadn't been able to review is on certain apps or certain people's Apple one even, it doesn't actually come up and give you the option. There's only a certain way you can do it. So thank you to the ones who have. Mummy Spencer, Kimmy 83, Cricket Mum and Cat Lover, Stilzatron, Eva 197700609. It's a lot. What was Eva 1 was taken? I get that, but blimey, you went high there. Oh, maybe that's you were born in 1977 and either on the 6th of the 9th or the 9th of the 6th. But still, so thank you. And thank you. That's so nice. So if you just even hit the 5 stars, I can see people have done that. And on Spotify, it really helps. Thank you. And it just lets me know that people are actually enjoying this. Which you don't know. But thanks to everyone who has been listening and watching. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Subscribe on your podcast app as well. Then it comes out first thing, and you can be like the paper guy, first thing in the morning. He's the first one to listen, I reckon. It's just me and him. It's just basically a personal voice note to him, and then you lot listen later. But oh wow, Richard Parker's got far. I forgot the kitchen door's open. He's gone out the other way, and I can see him really far. And his tail is like low, and like slowly go inside. He's seen something. We'll see what's happening there. Probably report about it next week. Right, thank you as always for listening and for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and as always, I'll see you next Monday. Bye.